Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tooele Happy Hour podcast starring Jared Anderson and David Weiss. Today's guest, we have January Walker. She's running for Congress. She owns businesses. She does crypto. She can do it all if you ask me. So January, introduce yourself to our amazing audience, please.
First of all, what an amazing introduction. Absolutely amazing. So my name is January Walker. I'm a U.S. congressional nominee. I am a two-time congressional candidate. He said it all. I do essentially not just own businesses, but create solutions that allow people to have an improved form of life in some ways. So I guarantee you've used my technology solutions, whether it's the ability to text your provider, all the way through those little reviews that you get, IRS software to make it so that your taxes go through quickly. And then I was focusing on digital IDs and getting traction around those, which we've had a lot of states start to adopt the software that we've been going through and creating. So those are going to be coming up next, which allows you to own your full digital identity.
Yeah, let's break into that digital ID a little bit, because that's where a lot of our audience will have heartburn. They're worried about this real ID movement and stuff. But yours, you want to not just have this digital ID where all of your information's out in the ether, and governments are, we all know that they're real good at protecting your information. So you're doing an end run around the side, providing them with what they want, while at the same time securing your information. Correct?
Yeah. So that is exactly correct. And for the listeners that have heartburn around these IDs, that heartburn that you have is the system we have today. It's not what we're proposing. It's not what we've created. So with this new system, you control all of your information. You are the one that controls it, and you get compensated for it as well. So instead of these advertisers taking your money, buying it, however, and then reselling it to somebody else, you own that, and then they have to pay you. So that's going to be huge. It's also just going to make it so that you can do everything from your phone, have it be completely private. So it's really cool.
And I like that. I think governments are going to do what governments are going to do, and they are going to fall flat on their face every time, and we pay the price. And when you get out there and get ahead of them, and you design a program that they can step into that functions, I think that's the only way that we can find success, until governments learn that free market solutions are better solutions. I mean,
we should definitely talk on that today, on the free market. And
yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about, remember the Affordable Care Act kickoff, the launch.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a while ago.
You remember how much of a failure it was? It was a failure for nepotism. It was a failure for availability, for growth. I mean, in every circumstance, it failed. It was government on parade.
Actually, Jared, it did exactly what the goal was, which was to help stimulate the pockets of
Canadian company.
Comrades that were associated.
Why do we say comrades? I'm just curious. I am going to push on this one a little bit, because you guys always talk about the economy, so I came prepared this time.
Okay, good.
Well, the person who built the website was actually associated with Michelle Obama.
Yeah, it was Michelle Obama's college roommate.
Okay, so let's can we start from square one just a little bit? So let's actually weave kind of a story here as we go through. So I was hoping, before we jumped into just policy, maybe we could talk about the change in the platform that's happened recently. And then this is the first time you guys have ever seen me without purple on, so maybe we could talk about that as well.
It was weird. Are you at least wearing purple socks? Or
I'm wearing white socks.
Oh my gosh,
I'm not wearing any purple undergarments either. But that doesn't mean that the purple doesn't exist. There was a couple of things. First of all, it was said repeatedly, over and over and over again, hey, your outfit is stale. You wear the same thing. I mean, I was going for a cartoon character where you could just recognize me, out in the public eye easily. But it was, hey, you keep wearing purple, like look a little bit more human. So we're testing this out to see if it does gain more traction and if it is more relatable, as people have said.
Okay. Me personally, I don't have a problem with it. Your suits were professional. It's not like you were wearing a comic book suit.
Right.
They weren't like the Joker's clothes coming out. They were real
Vibrant.
suits.
They were vibrant.
But they were in a very noticeable color. But
When you're out there in the public eye, you got to build an image for yourself of what you're trying to attempt to do.
Yes.
I'm podcasting with Jared. Every time I podcast, and if I don't forget, I wear this dumb red hat. Yeah.
Is it dumb? I laugh at it every time.
Some might say it's awesome. Some might say it's deplorable. I don't know. But either way, I'm trying to build an image that is more stable where people can associate, okay, this is going to be a political type podcast. This is Dave Weiss and Jared Anderson on the Twilla Happy Hour podcast. Mm-hmm. Something stable that you're going to see time and time again that you can kind of like, it's like McDonald's French fries. They're always the same. You know what you're going to get. Consistency is a product.
True.
And I don't know. I'm sorry that those people felt that way about the purple suit. I thought that was one of your stable consistencies in your image. And I don't know. I kind of respected that. So...
Awesome. Well, I think that's great feedback. So we may go back to it. It just may be a variant of what it was before. So we'll see what happens there. But a lot of that. Well, let me take a step back. So I've been working on this since 2020, right? Actively working on politics and campaigning and building everything. And especially this last election, there's a couple of concerning behaviors that we continue to see. And the first one is that people are really hurting these days. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but your dollar doesn't go as far anymore. Anytime you move to a different place, the amount of money you're investing into that move goes up. All of your costs continue to rise. Mm-hmm. People are leaving in droves around everything. And it's becoming really painful. And all of the solutions that I had really just on different levels rolled up into one thing. And that was affordable living. So anti-inflation policy and affordable housing policy, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So after looking at everything and saying, okay, I'm feeling really spread thin, what actually needs to be addressed? That was the one consistent thing. And in talking with people, like I go into rooms where there's hundreds of people and I just ask them, like, do you know someone that is experiencing pain in living and the cost of living?
I think you'd better start asking, do you know someone who isn't?
Oh, that would be good. That would be good.
That would be the easier one.
It might, but you wouldn't see the amount of hands at that point.
That is true.
So we switched the platform over to focus on affordable living. There's a couple other things. I don't know if you want to pull it up, where we also have education. So I'm willing to talk about education policy and environmental policy as well. But otherwise, that affordable living is huge. And so this plays almost directly into what you guys have been talking about. So you brought up like the Affordable Health Care Act, but really what you're bringing up is the event in 2008, right?
Well, I suppose that all kind of surrounds it. The crash of '08 was the last significant crash, but if you really track it, it never ended. They didn't solve it, so it's continued. They built another bubble so that we didn't feel that pain. And
that we didn't feel that pain?
Well, the pain of what that crash would have really done. And it would have hit all of us.
Yeah. I mean, let's definitely talk about this. But I wasn't sure if you wanted to look at anything on here first.
We'll go through. This is January. So go to januaryforutah.com or utahpolitician.com. It's also in the show notes if you want to review this yourself. But we're just going to review her website with her here. And there she is in the purple suit. Like I said, professional purple suit. It's not a gimmick suit. This one is...
it looks nice.
It is a well-made, well-tailored suit.
Yes.
And you can tell it's made out of a fine material, not, just
Just by looking at it, you can see that. That's amazing. Look at you. You're a...
By the sewn in piping or striping. I don't know what they call it.
I'm looking for any of the proof that you have a big dog in the picture.
I should include Epic on here.
Yeah.
My Bernese Mountain Dog. He is wonderful. He's a sweetheart.
Yeah, he is. He is. So let's, we could go deeper into the history of this. I mean, we can go back to 1913 if you want, when it
We
really
could go
kicks
a
off.
ways back.
Let's stay within our generation.
But we'll talk about, we don't even need to go back to 2008. We can just talk about how they didn't let the correction happen. Now, it would have hurt us, but they did not bubble that correction to protect us. They bubbled it to protect their donor class.
And who's their donor class?
The banks, honestly, I mean...
She just wants me to say lizard men.
The lizard people.
You do.
Okay, somebody sent me a weird video because, you get sent a lot of weird things. And this one was about the lizard people. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't today. Like, you can call them whatever you want. But at the end of the day, there are, and actually, I think it'd be helpful to kind of break this out for the everyday people, that they kind of understand what's happening, but not the full picture of what's happening. So what you're referring to is, one, we did have that financial crisis happen. And like you said, and we were supposed to go through a recession. It would have been at the time of recession. And with that recession, instead, and it was going to be a big one, borderline depression. And it was because of bad policy, just terrible policy. And that's what happened back in, the early 1900s as well, with the Great Depression. And instead of addressing it right then and there, they became afraid. And they said, oh, well, we don't want to lose our position in the world. We don't want people to lose their money. Like, maybe there's a way that we can address this. And so they did quantitative easing, where they put money into the economy. Well, let me rephrase. They didn't put money into the economy. So what they did is they put money into the banks, but they didn't require any kind of money from the banks to go into the people. They just assumed that this would happen. And so what they did in this moment, and this plays directly into what we're experiencing today. So you have the real economy, which is what you and I live in. It's, living, breathing, people going about their day. And then you have the talking head market economy. So those are like your stocks and everything up here. And these are the people that they're almost the puppeteers of society and how corporations work and that type of thing, because that's where your money goes.
Maybe not puppeteers, but they're the ones with the playbook that knows what's going on. They have the playbook, but they get an insight, some say illegally, into what's going on. Where us down here, we're trying to work within the game they're playing without the insight, without the playbook.
Correct. There's multiple different games that are being played here. And then there's actually one more economy. So your economy is supposed to go around in a circle, right? That's kind of what we had, where the investors come in. So this is that free market that you're talking about, where the money comes in and then it comes back down to the people, and then you go and you go and you go, and then based off of whatever is valuable to you, the people, right? Like, that's where the money happens to end up. Now, when they did this, the banks separated these two economies. And then you have this other class up here where your countries essentially became their own little stock markets and economies like that, right? And with that, your higher end class, right? So these are your elites, your billionaires, and the stock market as well. Anytime the money seems to be drying up, they start to panic and they start to pull the money out of the American economy. So with that, you have stocks that try and respond to this. You have the banks that try and respond to it. They keep cutting the interest rates and everything, and you never get to where you actually want to go, right? And then in the meantime, this market is pulling money out of the real economy, and we're feeling it the most because we have the inflation rising. We don't have enough money that's hitting us. And so we're getting spread really, really, really thin. And it's not going to stop because the policies that were put into place funnel the money upwards. So it just keeps going up and up and up and out of our pockets at this point. And it's so painful and it's so ridiculous, and it shouldn't be happening. Like it's not appropriate anymore. Like it's time to put an end to it.
Never was appropriate.
It was never appropriate. But like you said, they did take these two economies and they didn't fix the problem because they just flooded the money into the economy. They didn't actually fix the policies that were causing the problem in the first place. Go ahead.
How they get the money into the economy this go round. It used to be they actually printed the money and put it into the economy. Right now,
well, when you say put it into the economy, you got to squirt it somewhere. You got to aim it at something.
well, here's how it goes. So, if you know, you're going to hear this all the time, but by the Constitution, Congress is supposed to make the money. They're supposed to decide how much is made. They're supposed to be the ones that are the distribution of initiation.
Right.
The Federal Reserve Act is written, and that responsibility was given over to the Federal Reserve, which is a private organization. It's not a government organization. It's semi-accountable to the government, but I don't know. I think that's been diluted a lot. But anyways.
No, so let's explore that. You're exactly correct there. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I think it's been diluted a lot. I think we see governments are more responsible to the Fed than the other way around. So what happens now is the Congress gets told by the Fed how much they're going to print, and quantitative easing was done through a 0% interest at banks of origination. And that doesn't mean 0% interest to us because, you know, if you bought a home 5-10 years ago, you had a 3% interest, 2.5, whatever.
Right.
But 0% interest meant that Chase, Bank of America until it kind of hiccuped, and that those banks got to get money at no interest. They got free money.
Yes.
That they then lend it out.
Free money.
Yeah.
Emphasize that. This is
they got it
free
for free
money.
Well, that's the target they're
Free
squirting
money.
at. Squirting at the banks. They get the fresh print.
Yeah,
Right.
they got the money for free and got to lend it to make money off something they got for free. And then you could also go into fractional reserve banking, how screwed up that is for our system. And then we go into this technological age when no longer they put the M1 and M2 money markets together, which is your savings and your currency on hand. They put those together, which also screwed up our markets. We don't need to go into that. Then every time you went in and got a car loan, it was no longer that bank had this amount of money in reserve that then they handed to you and you bought the car. That money appeared digitally. So that drove our inflation further. And then COVID hits and the government starts handing out checks to everyone. And that furthered inflation. But the checks
that made it to the people was next to nothing.
Minuscule compared to what totally went out. But here's
so where did the money go?
Here's perspective. It went to the banks. The banks of origination.
Did it go to the banks?
I don't know.
It did not.
Here's a perspective to think about.
Okay.
1/3 of the money printed in the whole United States history was printed in the last 5 years.
Yes. So there's like three different things.
That is impossible to contemplate without. Nero didn't pull that shit off.
Yeah, so let's go through a couple of things here. So first of all, you mentioned the central banks, right? And so they had with the 0% interest rates. And so I think that this is where when I start to like tease it apart, all the different political parties and the understandings and the solutions that people have, I think that it's these pieces, because they're kind of complex to understand. This is where things start to get really alarming. And this plays directly into everything we're experiencing today, right down to, people's cost of living and the farmers and everything, like blue collar, and why it's so absolutely painful. So, and this is going to hop into China, right? Everybody's favorite topic in international policy. So
China.
Right. I know.
You got to say that right, Jared. I've got to learn how to
China.
speak Trump. What do you think if Trump gets speaker? How wild. This would be the wildest time to live.
I don't. Okay, let's funnel back. Let's funnel back, and then let's keep that one till the end. I think that we'll have that as a good bonus answer, right?
Yeah.
So when we broke away from this real dollar, right? So when we broke the economies and we split them in two, the rest of the world had to respond in some way. And when they responded, they had their banks do the same quantitative easing that we did.
100%.
And so you have all of these people that are fighting for the money to come into their economies through this separate economy that doesn't really even exist. It's just like this like digital, kind of like you said, like a digital idea, you know, like just fake numbers. I mean, it's obviously not fake numbers, but it is. And so with that, what you started to see is people started to compete and say, no, bring your money here. And you started to see a little bit more of that competition flare up after the '08 crisis. And then you had Trump come in, right? And so this is what surprises me most about President Trump and blue collar labor, right? So I think that Trump had some good things. I think that he had some bad things. I used to think that his foreign policy was pretty decent until I started following how the money flowed through that foreign policy. And essentially, the Federal Reserve, like you said, they just kind of went off and did their own thing, and Trump let them do it. And he accelerated it.
He begged them to keep doing it.
Right.
He continued because, all right, let me explain it like this.
Okay. Go ahead.
Quantitative easing kicks off under Obama, and it causes a bit of an economic boom under Obama.
And it's been across all presidents.
Yeah, Obama,
every single one.
But the big one after the '08 crash.
Yeah.
It kicked off, and it made Obama look good. And Trump, and I think if Biden could have done it, he would have too.
But they have been doing it. They've been continuing to do it.
They haven't done the...
They've done it like 6 times.
They haven't done the QE 0% money to the banks of origination. They're at, what are they at right now, 3.2 or something like that?
They, not at the 0%, but they incredibly low.
Yeah,
which is
it's
bizarre.
Still ridiculously low because, was it Volcker under Reagan had it up to somewhere in 18% for half of Reagan's first term, which is like how you correct the money markets that they had at that time, which aren't near as crazy as ours are.
Right. I mean, it's important to say that the free market economy ended. It does not exist. And this isn't conjecture. This isn't conspiracy. This is just straight data, straight mathematical equation.
Under FDR.
You can, but for sure, there's no question that by '08, it was gone. As soon as they took this action, it was gone. The free market has been gone for a long time.
Honest money is dead. Honest money is gone.
Correct.
And I feel bad for any politician who speaks on behalf of the free market these days. A lot of politicians are pitching these free market pitches, and I don't see how they can really get away with it because we are a protectionist economy. We are not a free market economy.
Right. And so that's really easy when you bring that up as well, because the politicians essentially are able to move forward without having to solve these problems because they have this essentially where the central bank has become this international power broker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's insane.
It is. And I would argue to fly into conspiracy land, if you look at every last time that we sent our boys off to war, right before that, there was kind of a little argument between whether that country was going to join our bank or not.
So I don't know enough about that to be able to speak to it, but I am very disappointed at the selection of wars we get into, right? How's that sound? Is that fair?
you went real easy on it there,
I did. I went very gently.
Harder.
And here's what I don't like about war. It causes generational trauma. It hurts people. Like, I grew up in a military family. Mm-hmm. And that stuff, like, we've shown that it impacts your DNA. We've shown that it impacts your kids, you know, like, for generations. Like, stop the fighting. Like, goodness gracious, you don't even take care of your veterans at the end of that, which leans into housing again. Like, the amount of veterans that I've seen that are homeless, I'm just blown away. Like, do you not even care? Do you just really use people up in that way and then discard them after? Like, disgusting. Yeah. Absolutely disgusting.
It's funny that you even asked that, because yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
It's terrible.
We are disposable males.
How's our VA system doing? And
it's terrible.
The male of the species is disposable.
I think that's. We have to go into this. I think that is actually a patriarchy problem.
What? Say that again, January.
It's not a patriarchy problem.
No, I think that the patriarchy was just as bad for men, if not worse for men, than it was for women.
It's not the patriarchy.
What do you call it then?
Nature.
We disagree on this.
Let me ask you a question.
Men are the warrior species.
No, it's not even that. Let me ask you a question.
Wait, why do we have to talk about the men being warrior species?
It's not about a warrior species.
Is it because I said it the way I did?
No.
Maybe I miscommunicated.
It's about women must be held precious because they're what brings new people.
So that is
men cannot. You can have one man and 100 women, your society will be fine. If you have one woman and 100 men, it dies next generation.
I think that's a fine society for some, but not for all of them.
I'm just talking for pure demographics.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. It doesn't take very many men.
I heard Ukraine is now drafting the women, though.
Yeah, I mean, so I personally feel that all life is created equal, right? Sure, but we don't treat people like that, and I think that that's a problem, and it's a terrible thing.
Well,
I think that men were given.
I'm just where the metal touches meat. Women have to be held more precious than men, because you can stand to lose men.
But why do we have to? So I want to ask one more question. Do that, and then I want to kind of come back to this affordable living stuff.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
So here's my question for you. So you say, the men are disposable, all of these things. We're one in an age where we have words, right? We have the ability to communicate with each other. And if we cannot communicate clearly and come to some kind of resolution, we now have technology. We have drones. People can do this stuff remotely, which is terrible, right? On some level for the people that do not have those resources.
Oh yeah, we've got it. But the next war is going to be unrecognizable. But
exactly. So why in the world would we expend human life? First of all, why would we fight with each other anyways? And why would we expend human life on that level? The way that we did war before, the Gulf and everything, Afghanistan, Iraq, we don't have to do war that way anymore. And I think that the way that we do war now is actually with money. So if there's people on the ground fighting, then that's an archaic form of battle.
We've always done war with money, but in the end, point to fact, drones have a pilot. That's why in the end,
right,
when the metal
currently
when lead presses against flesh, there is a human that is the target.
Yeah, I think that that's a terrible thing.
It is. I think our wars that we're seeing build up right now are due to one, yes, the money system, the world economic system, also the demographic split. Russia is dying. That's why Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia's dead on the vine.
I'm not an expert
China is
in Russia.
done. China is done.
Well, what are we?
I don't think that China is done.
We're the only developed nation that are almost at replacement level. The only one. We're it.
I don't know. I'm looking at all these pink-haired, blue-haired mob-type creatures coming out of the next generation, and I'm thinking,
Wait, you guys don't like blue hair? What's wrong with blue hair? It's just like style. It comes and it goes.
it usually has to do with some sort of confusion. But if that's where our next generation and the hope is for our survival as a country, I don't know. Maybe China's going to do it better.
China's done. China's got 10 years.
I don't think so. So
And
here's
anyone who plans it is saying this isn't coming from me.
so
This is coming from Peter Zeihan. This is coming
Are
from
we making bets?
people who do.
Ten-year bets?
I'll make
I
a
mean-
bet on that in a heartbeat.
Okay, wait.
China's one-child policy, that was the nail in the coffin. You cannot have a government-supplied retirement system and shut off your demographics. You cannot.
Hey, Jared, I don't know why you think Chinese guys can't go out of the country to get women.
It's too late. They've already lost a generation. They've already lost.
I mean, there's all these other Asian countries
They've
right next door.
already lost a
Vietnam,
generation. You cannot.
Thailand, and
Here's. Let me tell you about the
Turkestan.
pressures. Let me tell you about the
Wait,
pressures.
are we going to hop back to Trump and China before we talk about the demise of China?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Okay. So Trump and China, right? They go through their trade war,
Mm-hmm.
and the trade war, we can see it through the money and how it hit everybody. It hit the blue collar labor so hard. Like, it made it so that you started. They essentially started charging tariffs, which is charging people more money to do these exports and things. And it didn't just ripple around the United States. It didn't just ripple through China. It rippled around the world. And I promise I'm going to lead this into what you were saying, so then you can go off to your next piece. So it rippled around the world. And when you had these two gigantic economies, right? Because we are the dominators. It's the U.S. and it's China around the world. And when we started to go to war, when that trade war happened, it destabilized everything. And then with that instability, you had, I struggle to find a name for this. We could just call them the masters if you want, because, the executives aren't the people with the power. It's the people with the money. So whoever the people with the money are, the masters, that's who controls everything. So when that started to happen, they took that money and they're like, oh, there's cheap and easy money in these other economies. And so you start to see this equalization of economy at the real economy level around the globe. So whether or not the United States and China will fail from this, I don't personally know. But what I can confidently say is our government and our monetary system is broken, and it's broken forever, and it's not coming back. So we're getting to the point now, and I think that this is what you're leading into, right? With the U.S. being this economy that's going to fall off. Is that?
Well, I'm not. I think we're going to be the only industrialized economy that will do better.
Really?
How?
Yeah.
They don't even go to work.
I don't
Saturday
know
and
about that.
Sunday.
I think we're going to be, well.
How are we going to
okay.
be the only one left? Sorry, I'm like folding my arms here, not trying to get all defensive, but bring it on.
Geography. Geography is a big one.
Okay.
Geography, we're the land of milk and honey.
So
Big
we do
river
have a
cuts
lot
us
of
right down the
resources,
middle.
but where are resources going?
We've got every resource, but
Where are they going?
this is going to affect the whole world. We're going to see nations collapse. France, those bastards can barely make a bagel worth of shit right now.
I disagree.
England destroyed itself in the 70s. It's been surviving
Okay.
on specifically only banking.
But why?
Germany did away with all their ability to produce power. That they went with windmills and solar panels in a goddamn northern tropical line country. Put that together. So now they're burning brown coal. The word on the street is BMW. This might be the last year you can buy a new BMW.
I mean, I don't know a ton about BMW, right? So
Well, it's made in Germany.
Right. So
They're running out of power. They're burning brown coal now, which is subpar coal, because that's all they can get. Because they
the
turned
world
off.
is completely destabilized.
No, it's because German's Green Party
Sabotage their society with this green technology.
They did it,
Yeah,
and they
that's what
shut
they
down
did.
all their nuclear power plants. They shut it all down. So all they've got now is wind and solar.
So I think people can. So here's what I would like to challenge our listeners to do. What I would challenge us to do. When we say parties in general, right? I need to take a step back here. So the first part is that as our economy breaks more and more, as people lose that money and access to resources and everything, you see this fracture of all these parties, and you see people become more extreme, and people try and come up with solutions, and then we have this, I believe it's called a gerontocracy, where you just have these old people that don't understand the new technology and cannot wield this entire thing, and so they never learned how to test solutions before they put them into the wild. And because we keep doing that, we try a solution, it doesn't work, and it's like, okay, this is a learning model. So instead of demonizing other people, say, hey, we tried this, we can see it doesn't work, let's adjust and let's change based off of data and information. Because otherwise, we're going to keep fighting against each other. Like the Republicans and Democrats will never stop. You'll see more people getting disenfranchised with the parties. You'll see more constitutionalists and socialists and communists. Like I know communists in America, like openly communistic people, which is bizarre to me. But, so we have all of this, but we all have a piece of the puzzle.
My parents collect Social Security.
That's socialism.
That's socialism.
Yeah, Social Security is socialism. Now, is it a bad part? Like, I'm not opposed to Social Security. I think that the weakest among us should be protected on that level, right? And especially when you had the older people, they gave their lives and they paid into it and everything, but we messed up somehow, and now there's nothing left for the rest of us, and we have to figure that out. So leading it into what you were saying about Germany, and you have France and everything else, a lot of these economies are trying to get out from underneath the US dollar, because the dollar is no longer secure. The only reason these countries are still on the dollar is because of the war in Ukraine. They were getting together in secret to try and get away from us. So is that what you're referring to when you talk about this, is
No.
like moving away from the dollar? And that's...
No, not that. I'm talking the previous wars. I think right now, getting out from under the dollar, a lot of countries are doing it, which is why we see, in my opinion, when we see the U.S. government send $1 billion to Pakistan on the promissory note that they use it for gender studies, that's to pad Pakistan's bank with U.S. dollars, so Pakistan never thinks of leaving because they've got this large reserve of U.S. dollars. That's just my opinion.
It's a good strategy.
It's an excellent strategy.
At the end of the day, this looks like noise to me. It looks like noise. Does it not look like noise to you?
Noise for what?
Well,
Just noise to detract attention away from the real solutions, like the real problems and the real solutions that need to be addressed. If we know that monetary policy is broken, and we know that money is money, resources are going to a select few people at this point. We know that. And we know that as the gap widens and more people fall off, like most people are, they are 69% of our country is one paycheck away from being homeless at this point. It's crazy. It's insane. It's so insane to me. So if we know this, and we know that as the divide between the haves and the have-nots come, that we fracture politically more, we become angry, our country becomes destabilized like these other countries have, then why do we focus on these other problems that really, are they problems? Yes. Are they the problem? Are they the biggest problem? Or is it some kind of firework distraction, like a flashbang over there to disorient you and to destabilize and defocus us?
Well, with minimum control over the economy as regular folks that we are, all we can really do is complain about it.
Is the only thing we can do complain about it?
They say we can vote.
Yeah.
kind of like we did with what was that, Proposition 2 with marijuana in Utah, or whatever it was. I mean, how effective our vote is questionable.
I agree with you on that. And I think that there's multiple different levels to that. There's the disenfranchisement of voters. People feel like their vote doesn't count. The candidates that they are supporting don't necessarily align with their needs. And I want to bring this to Utah's local politics, right? Because you guys interview a lot of politicians locally here. You talk with a lot of people. If we know, right, if I can go into a crowd and ask a question and every single person in that crowd raises their hand, hundreds of people, and keeps it up for every single line of questions that come from that, you would think that the number one policy our politicians would focus on is affordable living. Like, it is the only thing that matters at this point. It's the only thing that matters at the city level. It's the only thing that matters at the state level. It's the only thing that matters at the federal level. Like, that's it. So if your politicians, if your candidates are not focusing on this very real problem, then why are we continuing to elect them?
Let's break into that. What are your thoughts on that? What's a way that an elected official can tackle that?
There's a few different ways. So actually, I have it on my website here, proven policies that we can go through. So the first thing that people need to understand is the measuring stick of your political employees, because they are employees of you. Mm-hmm. The measuring stick in which we gauge their performance by is the policy that they create. It's the policy that they create. It's the policy that they pass. And for some reason, when I point this out to people online, they're like, that's a really weird measuring stick. It's irrelevant. It's like, that's the only measuring stick. Because I hear this a lot. And it's like, people do not understand that policy is the number one thing. So let's go into live here under affordable living. So if we scroll down, there's a couple of things that we need to do here. And the first thing, the number one thing to combat the amount of money people are paying. So I'm going to share with you something that's personal to me. I know a lot of people don't share this. In 2007, I was paying $300 a month for rent. And I live like almost next to where I did when I was 18. Right? Mm-hmm. So $300 a month for rent. I now almost pay $4,000 in the same area. That's
ridiculous.
That's outrageous. And I am well off. Like, I work hard, I work smart, I try and outsmart the system, and I am like okay. But I don't understand how other people are surviving. It doesn't make sense.
That is a crazy leap to go from to in less than 20 years to have a, what is that, a 360% jump?
Yeah, I mean, my stuff jumped. Yeah, it is 360. Yeah, it's like 12 times the amount that it was, which is insane. That's mind-blowing to me.
And that's happening all over the place. And I'm reading right off the start. That what says
increased supply.
That is key.
And people are not, and so here's where it gets crazy. When we think about this, and this isn't conjecture, it's not conspiracy anymore, it's straight fact that we have people that are buying these investment types. Because remember, you have the stock market, you have the investor class and everything. They are buying up the property. They're buying up the housing. They're keeping the...
Buying it. They're sitting on it. They're renting it. They're, And
they're getting subsidized through taxes.
I know, it's crazy, right?
And so you have...
Not just taxes. They're the number one place where everyone's 401k goes at the same time.
Yeah.
And they turn around with your 401k and turn it into the thing that'll rob you blind right now for the promise of making $1 in 20 years.
It's crazy.
It is. It's insane.
It's so crazy. And because the 401ks aren't even keeping pace with what you would need in order to survive. No. So you have this. Exactly. That's exactly correct. So you have this tax subsidy, which is allowing them to keep the prices high, and it's not allowing the free market economy for housing to stabilize, because otherwise, I mean, we've had, in my place, there's like 10% of those that are empty. Why are you charging $3,000 still. Drop your prices. That's what the free market economy is supposed to do, but it's not. And so they're subsidizing it. So the first thing you do, you increase the supply and you stop the investor class from picking up the market. They picked up like 30%. I think
know.
of what it... Did
crazy.
you catch
In like
it? Did you
3
hear it?
years.
So, January, if there was a law that said one person cannot own more than 5 dwellings,
I don't even think 5 dwellings is the
I
problem.
wouldn't do it like that.
Wait, hold on. I want to hear his question. Go ahead. Sorry.
legislation comes across. You've won. You're in Congress. Here's the legislation right here. It says one body, be him foreign or native to America,
Yeah.
cannot own more than 5 dwellings, and that somehow that can't cross into being a corporation either. But like home dwellings, home homes, not business type environments, but home homes.
There does need to be a limit. We have to have a limit on the amount of housing they can buy. And I know that this is opposite. I know this is opposite of free market economy. I agree with you,
Well,
and it's alarming
but I have
to
a
me.
friend right now who, from a young age, so from 18, he made smart moves and started buying
Right.
houses here in this town
Yeah.
you're in. And he
This
owns,
is a good market
he
to
owns
buy
probably
in,
like
Twilla.
6 or 7.
Right.
But that's his. So
I don't think 6 or 7 is the problem.
But, okay,
I don't
but-
think 10 is the
but would
problem. I
you-
don't think 50.
would you sign a law that? I mean. Now, granted, what he does is he rents every one of them. Every one of them is for rent. He rents them around. He rents them to, people. He's got a very reasonable rent structure that he charges and everything else.
Right.
I
Do you want to scroll down a little bit on this for the people that are
Yeah.
looking?
Okay. Go on. I just.
No. So I agree. I think that it's fine to invest, right? Keep in mind, at the end of the day, I am a free market capitalist because I believe in that system on some level. Now, do I still think that it's going to get us out of where we are now? No, I don't think that anymore. And that's really heartbreaking to question my own assumptions around how do we fix where we're at. But okay, so let's just go through this and then we can flip back. So we have increased the supply. And then we were talking about the investors. So let's scroll down here to the investor area. Okay. We have to limit the number of properties bought up by non-resident, so your person's a resident, and corporate investors. Stop allowing people to profit off of people. Like, this is not hard math here.
I wouldn't say profit off of people is the problem. I'm glad when they can rent them out and people can go in a dwelling and live. It's these ideas where you jam up the land and seclude it from the people. You buy these houses and no one can get into them now.
Yes.
And it's the same with land. If I can print all the money and buy all the land and leave the peasants with a postage stamp, what fairness is that economy?
It's not. And the thing is we have allowed through bad policy for generations for people to turn us into serfs. Like, we are indentured servants. This is hard for me to say. This is hard for me, of all people, to say and to admit. We are indentured servants. So let's scroll down just a little bit more and then we can pop out of the website a little bit.
I do prefer the term peasant.
Peasant. Okay. Peasant, indentured servant. We also had peon, so I think that one is humorous. But like, we're nothing. So then we have to so now how do we keep the money? So if we start to take away stuff from these people, because anytime they think, oh, my money supply is being taken away, my cheap and easy money, because money always flows the easiest path every single time. So then we have to find a way to keep that money within our economy. So do tax incentives, tax breaks, bring in technology. We have technology that can essentially accelerate them through all of the permitting processes, give them the ability to start building quickly and everything. And so once you have it through that's when you get into home assistance. Now people are like, I don't want to help people get into homes. And on some level, like, I don't want to either, right? Because it's like, I had to pay for mine. I had to try and scrounge up money to get into mine. But now we know, if we scroll down just a little bit more, we know that there's no longer money available for these individuals to be able to do this. So how do you get them money? And the way to do that is to figure out, and this isn't like the most flushed out area, but there's there's policy out there where we can use machine learning tools and AI to say what actually is beneficial for the people. We have that technology now. Let's use it. Let's stop letting these old farts in Washington that don't understand how to make laws or economics or the impact of their decisions, stop letting them make the decisions and pick the policies that actually heal this broken circle that we have and return us to the way that things actually should be for people. Go ahead.
So kicking off around the 40s and then really kicked into place in the 60s. And then again in the 80s, a big jump. But
and did you want to move away from the website? I wasn't sure.
I'll leave it on there because I want to keep reading through it. But homes became your investment, your investment for a wealthy life. And is that the proper place to have that in our economic portfolio? Because what it does is it makes Congress didn't write these laws that drove it down. This is mostly local stuff that writes these laws.
On some of them, yes.
Like,
sorry, I shouldn't argue. Go ahead.
Well, no, like protectionist laws, honestly, get written in by local communities, not even on a city level. They get argued in on even smaller. And that's
the municipal governments.
Yes, that's the biggest one. And
ooh, you're getting to the good stuff. I'm so excited.
And so how do we stop that? Because I'm not going to say the boomers did bad, but the boomers were a big driver in this.
The boomers, the generations before them, the generations
before them didn't do it as much. The boomers put the most protectionists in, where they went through HOAs, they went through things like that to stop growth, to stop housing growth, so that they kept their properties high, because that, and I don't blame them, that was their avenue for a wealthy retirement, was having a house.
So having a house is still the avenue for, so like for me, seeing the boomers that sold their properties compared to the ones that held on to them, I will not sell my properties at all, because I know the moment that I do, I lose that one thing that is still holding on. And the reason is, and so we have the Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? We, in the political arena, it's very similar. It's slightly different, right? So that first level, you still have food, housing, water, clean air, like normal living stuff. Like as a human, it infuriates me. It really infuriates me that there's hunger at all, with all the resources and all we produce and everything, that there's any kind of hunger. Like, just stop that. The fact that we have homelessness, stop it. We're going into winter here. Like, that's enough. We have the resources. We don't have to do this anymore.
How do you cure homelessness?
So one is the supply. When I talk to people, right? So keep in mind, I'm gonna share something.
That'll shave off 15%. But how do you cure it?
Oh gosh. So if there's like
that'll shave off that small percent of homeless people that are actually down on their luck.
Wait, what do you mean when you say that will shave off? What does that mean?
If you have a booming supply, but
so the supply, but this is market and demand. This is basic market.
Yes, but let me go through a couple thoughts.
Okay. And then do you want to go to the next section?
The majority of homeless issues is addiction.
No, it's not anymore.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, I think we should look into that, because if I'm wrong, I would.
Well, we can pull it up. I know that you're a wizard at Google.
Yeah.
So
wizard.
Dude, you are a wizard. You guys are both amazing here. So there's a couple of things with this. Okay. So the first is, and this is shocking to me. So I moved downtown because I wanted to have closer access to the Capitol, and then I was also being asked to come into the office. You know, even though I was hired remotely, they're like, hey, we're changing our model, come into the office. And it was cheaper for me to move downtown than to stay out in Saratoga Springs. So I did that. And with all of that, I was shocked to find out that there are people making above $100,000 that are homeless in the city. They're not, it's not there anymore. So job loss, income, hands down, the number one thing that's driving homeless. Drugs, that's just drugs are cheap now. Like, not not to be like weird about it, but drugs are super cheap. A couple of, like I would say marijuana is cheaper than alcohol now.
Yeah, and drugs have always been cheap. The reason heroin took off is because, what was that pharma drug that they took? The
Oxycodone.
Oxycontin was expensive.
Oxycontin.
So, yeah, you're right. Loss of job is 22%. Substance abuse is 14%. Jail,
But jail is a societal problem.
I think that needs to be broke down more. Jail. What are they in jail for? Eviction.
So eviction is a money problem.
Okay.
Family problems tend to be money problems, abuse problems, societal problems.
But all those things, all those jail, eviction, family, domestic violence, those are an end run of something. Now, it could be an end run of loss of job
safety.
and you go home and beat your wife. But how many alcoholics do you know treat their wife and kids okay?
I mean, I have a lot of personal opinions about this. I think that, that alcoholism is harmful
and I'm not
to people, and we can do better.
I'm not disagreeing with you on any of this, and I'm not disagreeing with you on fighting for houses or making houses available. I'm just wondering who takes ownership.
So it's at every level. Okay, so this is why I'm super excited.
Who takes ownership of the particular housing for that person?
So here's what it is, and this is really difficult for me to change this. I had to dive into economics books, so I'm going to give you one if you would like to read it.
Yeah,
it's called Permanent Distortion, and it's by Naomi Prinz, and she lays out, and I know you guys can both stomach this. You're both intellectual individuals.
He is.
And no, both of you are. You can do this. So when you read it, you're like, oh my God, like, because she takes you through just this entire timeline. And when I was going through this, and this was probably about the last deep dive that I did, it was like, it can't be one person. Like you said, who is responsible? So here's the shift in mind. Okay. These people are working. Most of the people I know that are homeless, they have jobs. Like, it's crazy to me. I always thought homeless people didn't have jobs. I didn't think that they had like so many things. It's crazy. So if you're working, if they're putting in 40 hours a week, they should be able to have a place. So if they can't, if everything is working against them, if all of the policy that we've put into place is wrong and bad and makes it so that they're now trying to decide, do I eat? Do I pay this bill? Do I pay my house? Do I live out of my car? Do I live on the streets? Then we have to go and fix that system. And that cannot be conquered at just the congressional level. It cannot be conquered at just the state level. It cannot be conquered at the city, the municipal, all of these things. Like you hit it right on the head. We have to band together. And this is where I get really passionate. I do not care about people's political parties anymore. Like, I just don't. And I know that that's disagreeable because people are like, but the Democrats are doing this and the Republicans are doing this, and they have this like flash and light show, and it doesn't matter to me anymore. The only thing that I care about, and I will support any candidate in the entire nation that campaigns on this, affordable living. That is the only thing. I'm so, like, it's the only thing that matters now. Because this is it. You're in the end game. You have the people that have and the people that don't. And if you don't fix it to where the people that don't have can actually be taken care of, then you have nothing. Your country is gone. If you can't even live and eat and sleep in your country, what kind of country do you have? You don't have anything.
Have you ever tried to sleep in your car?
I have. I enjoy car camping, but I wouldn't want to enjoy car camping on a permanent basis.
A lot of times when I sleep in my car, because I'm homeless at the moment.
Wait, are you homeless?
No, I'm not homeless now.
You're about to be homeless, though.
But when I travel, I'm homeless usually.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I'm always getting one of
yeah.
these. It's always the popo.
Yeah, why are they knocking on? Let the people sleep.
It's always the popo. Imagine you're in Afghanistan. Guess what kind of dwelling you sleep in?
A small. I don't want to make assumptions. I assume that they have different levels of housing.
It's called a tent. You
They
got
sleep in tents?
12 bunk. Well, I mean, when I was in Afghanistan, it was the initial invasion.
The military sleeps in
tents. It's called a GP medium.
Oh, so you guys were homeless in the military, is what you're saying.
12 guys in a tent.
So you're already pre-adapted to the homeless life. So that's why we have so many veterans that are homeless?
It was actually a beautiful thing. We had 12 guys living in a tent.
Wait,
okay?
that sounds like a commune.
Well, it kind of is.
The
if you think about
military
it.
is as much a socialist system as you can find.
Oh, see, I love that you guys just acknowledge stuff openly, like so openly.
Oh, yeah,
Please
comrades.
continue this.
Well, it is. Everyone has their job. Matter of fact, when you sign up, the commissar tells you what you're going to be.
That's
true.
true.
But you want to know what? I don't see any GP mediums being allowed to be put up in.
What's a GP medium?
It's a big green
It's a
tent.
big green tent.
Remember
that can seat
MASH?
12 guys.
Okay, so
It's the tents on
so
MASH.
we aren't allowing big army tents. Where?
Correct.
Where?
Anywhere. All right. How about there's a great spot for one right now I can see in front of a county building here in Tooele. Now, if I could put up my own.
Wait,
GP
I'm missing this. So what exactly is going on here?
Right. So-
give some context to our viewers.
If I could put up a GP medium in front of the county building in Tooele and charge $10 a night for a bunk on that GP medium, I bet you I'd have that sucker filled up. And of course, there'd be air conditioning, there'd be heating,
And that's how people sleep.
there'd be nothing wrong with it, except for the
It's a
fact
start.
that it does not beautify the people's expectations. See, the truth is, Americans are just spoiled little brats, and they'd rather see people freeze outside than have to put up a GP
No, I think-
medium.
That's disgusting.
No.
By the way,
I don't see any GP mediums. I'm sorry. Prove me wrong.
No. Sorry. What I'm saying is disgusting is how we choose to treat other people
No,
on this level.
Look at these beautiful tents, January. I
Did
lived
you
in
wanna-
that one. That was my tent.
Are you going to share
right
this with the
there.
viewers? Show the
Show
viewers
them
what
that
we're
beautiful
doing.
tan real estate right
That-
there.
This is
I don't think you're sharing your screen.
No,
this is
I had
the
tan
GP
one.
medium from my days. The old
I had the green ones, too.
I still remember the smell. They were oil soaked for waterproof, and these
Smelled,
little gussets
so
right
weird.
up there. That was for a potbelly stove that burned diesel.
So that's wild, by the way, right? Like that you guys have these experiences. But so when we talk about this, here's what I love. You just brought a solution to the table for something that we have resources for. They're probably just sitting around. We could bring them in and you could make it so that, like, gosh, Mendenhall, I hope you're listening, right? You could make it so that our unsheltered population isn't dying on this. This is one of the most heartbreaking things that I ever saw, was going out and giving food to people. And after like the winter storm and, you know, making sure they had gloves and socks and everything, and having an individual that passed away in the middle of the night just covered in snow, and coming across that in downtown Salt Lake. Like, that's horrific.
Yeah,
That's happening.
I've actually brought these ideas up to our community, and I even asked, you know, why don't we just turn the building into a big casino and things like that. I had some great ideas, I think, but nobody really took them seriously. Although they would have fixed
Why
society.
do GP mediums when the building you're going to be putting them on the lawn of is empty every night?
It's empty. And so here's my other question. So you mentioned like $5-10. I think you're right. It would be filled. Does it need to have a cost to it at that point, right? If you have nothing, if we want to say no person sleeps under the stars tonight, you know, unless you're
If you're making 100K,
willingly,
if you're making 100K, you can spend $10 for a bunk.
right. Yeah, I think that there's a difference there. And then, you know, for the people that don't have that money, but yeah. So like if you can pay, great. Like let's just cover that first place. But so here's what it is. So with these races, every single politician, I challenge you guys to run. I want you to run. I know.
It's
I know.
illegal for me to run.
It's
actually.
Is it really?
The Hatch Act prevents people of government descent to
Government
play.
employees to run for political office.
Are you
it's
still a government employee
Yeah,
right now?
he's a
So you
safety
can't-
guy for the government.
I am the
But
safety
you're
guy.
about to not be a safety guy.
He's going to be a safety guy for the Navy
Eventually,
instead
in the
of the Army.
future, when you come work for me, right?
Well, then I can run, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we just convinced him.
And you don't want to put me anywhere near it.
But I believe in
Actually, I do.
dictatorships.
I'm a moronic caveman. But no, here,
No, I want you to run because I want you to look at these policies and come up with your own as well. And I want you to only focus on affordable living policy.
here's what I want to say about you've got the right idea, is the supply. You boom the supply, housing prices will plummet.
as they should,
yes,
because it's corporate America that owns the majority of them now.
I agree. It needs to happen. I would love to see it. We increase the supply so much that it no longer is profitable for BlackRock to buy empty houses.
Right. No,
that's what I want to see.
They're just one. I feel like there was another player besides BlackRock that was
Vanguard.
Vanguard and BlackRock are big players, and they're both the number one destination for your 401k, which is great. But I would also like to see it to where a house costs, on average, an annual salary. So if you make $100K a year, but I would like to see a house drop down to where the total house cost is that, much like it was in the 80s.
So there is no reason. This is probably going to be the most.
Let me give you the reason.
The reason for what?
Why you'll get pushback on this, especially after you run for re-election.
Do you want to?
If it goes through.
Okay, let's hear it.
Is right now our economy is built up so that most people are relying on buying that house for their future retirement.
Right.
And that will directly impact them. And I'm not saying you're wrong, because I'm saying you're right, 100% correct. But that is where you'll feel the impact.
Yeah, but
you'll feel the impact with the guy who's 58, has 4 years left. His 401k did okay, but we've been living in inflation, so he didn't contribute the full percent with the match. He only contributed the minimum because he's expecting his house to carry him across that death finish line.
Okay, so I agree, and there's a couple of things. First of all, I want to say something controversial. Second is, you're right, he is going to experience that pain, and we actually need to. So this is what we have to do. When we implement these laws, we have to catch people, right? Because, and when I say catch people, this isn't socialism at this point. It's just saying we messed up, we allowed all this money to concentrate at the top, we pulled it out of society, and now, because we know it's going to fall, we know. Like, there's no question anymore. We know our society will fall when we start to fix stuff, and we have to put things underneath, like put the mattress underneath people so they don't hit the ground hard.
And I think the federal government needs to relinquish all the lands it holds so the state can use that to build up supplies to have that.
It has to be a collaborative effort. So saying that the federal government give up your power, it's not going to happen, because the currency of politics is money and power. So it's not going to, we can say that's what we want, but we know that's not going to happen. The most we can do is put the mattress there.
I think states should be able to. I think states
should be able to
manage that affair.
Which one?
The dealing with their housing market.
Yes. So
should Wyoming, with maybe 4 homeless people in the whole state, have to deal with the repercussions of LA?
So I agree with you on this, right? It has to be taken at a multi-level approach.
I think the 10th Amendment needs to reign supreme at every decision. Everyone. We're meant to be a melting pot of 50 ideas, not a failure pot of one.
Right. So I agree that these economies that have different problems, right? Because each one is going to have policies that they have to implement to, like, it's not a one size fits all anymore. It is going to be different on each level, but there's a role that the federal government has to play, and that is holding the Federal Reserve accountable.
Oh, and it needs to be done away with. It's illegal anyway.
I think so too. I think the Federal Reserve has been harmful. And I don't know how to do that at this point. Like, if you're a listener and you have solutions, like, share those solutions. Bring your voice to the table.
If you want to read interesting stuff.
Yeah, send me a book.
Read anything about when Andrew Jackson went up against the first bank.
You frequently bring up Andrew Jackson.
Because he shut down.
I need to go through his stuff.
He shut down a central bank. And the central bank tried forcing the United States, at that time it was, 16, 17 states, tried forcing them into a Great Depression to punish Andrew Jackson.
Well, just look what they're doing to cryptocurrency companies and exchanges.
And you know why?
They're trying to destroy them.
Why?
Because that's their big threat.
Because that's the new Andrew Jackson.
honestly,
because you're taking the money back.
if Bitcoin did an end run round, let me lay this out for you. If Bitcoin became popular overnight, the United States government would cease to be important.
So I agree. I think decentralized money will change everything, but there has to be something that takes over, because if all of your money leaves this other economy, then you have everybody left with just a small pool of whatever, and that you have people that are running away from monetary tyrants, because that's what they are at this point.
yeah.
And in addition, I want this to be really clear because I really want to say this controversial thing. Okay.
I want to hear it.
So our monetary tyrants, our billionaires, our stock market, all of that, we in the real economy,
Let's
the
call
everyday
them
person,
blood-soaked monsters.
blood-soaked. That's a little gory for me.
Can I just interject
Do you
really
think
go
quick?
ahead.
Do you think they had any
Jared, let me
part?
say
Really quick,
this.
it's socialized capitalism.
These monsters that you refer to,
Yeah.
they don't play by the same rules that I do.
Exactly.
So if I
No.
become a monster in the crypto economy, I still have to live within a parameter that you
Yep.
also have to live.
For now,
so
unless
I'll
more
lose
people
all my
adopt it.
money on silk slippers, and the free market economy will punish me appropriately.
There's no free market
No,
economy.
let me tell you-
Oh wait, are you saying
in a crypto economy.
Okay, I see
I'll
what
be
you're saying.
punished
Let
appropriately
me
for
tell you,
misjudging
yes,
things.
Yes,
and let me tell
that's
you about
true.
the different rules you'll live by. Is you won't be able to send young men in mass over to foreign countries to bleed out and bleed people out on the ground, which is what I guarantee our banking class has been a
Yeah,
part of
it's
every
terrible.
one of those decisions.
It has been. That's the thing. It has
that's why
been.
Bitcoin, I think, is a big freedom mechanism, or not Bitcoin. I shouldn't say Bitcoin. I should say decentralized currency would be a freedom and a peace mechanism.
It looks less crazy if you realize, and I'm not saying you have to go to it. I think that both systems can live side by side in harmony. If you want to, operate with the US dollar or whatever your currency is, and you want to do some kind of decentralized currency, I am not saying you have to go either way. But there is a case to be made when you say, well, we know that this money will disappear over here underneath this current system. So how do you get out from underneath that? And that's what we're saying. So there's a joke, and the joke is a guy goes up to a billionaire. Have you heard this one?
Not yet.
Okay.
but I'm dying to.
Okay, so a guy goes up to a billionaire and he says, wow, that's a really nice Lamborghini. How do I get one of those? And the billionaire says, well, if you work really, really, really hard, I'll be able to buy a second one.
I've heard that for construction managers, but yes.
But it's so true, because that's how the rules are. They essentially were on a board game, and they made the rules so that no matter what, they always win.
They peel off their percent.
And that leans directly into what you said.
Which I'm okay with as long as they live by the same rules I do.
But they
Well,
don't.
But they don't.
They don't. Because here.
You're good.
Because we have our real economy, because we have this market economy, and then you have this elite economy. And that's why they are so disconnected. So why are we, I want to say just inappropriate things, but why are we hero worshiping Elon Musk when he is screwing you over? Jeff Bezos. Did you see the billionaires list? The Forbes published the 400 most richest people in America. Mm-hmm. And between them, their collective wealth was
Everything.
I think it was $4.6 trillion.
No, it would be more than that.
It had better
hold
be
on.
more than that.
That's not
because-
even a payment to Ukraine,
because-
is it?
Yeah, because 4.6 trillion isn't even our annual
That's like
cost of government.
The worth of Amazon, maybe.
But so the fact that yes, but the point is there's concentrated wealth, and this is
It
just
is.
one of ours. So the wealth is somewhere. There's somebody at the top. There is in the world the most richest person in the world, and there is the most poorest person in the world. So,
And I'm still okay with that as long as we all live under the same parameters.
but we don't,
And we don't.
and we agree
And
that
that's
we
the
don't.
only thing that's unjust.
I wouldn't want to do away with meritocracy, but I think here's my thoughts.
Okay, let's hear it.
just a simple, broad thought is I don't want to make it, because when I ask you who takes ownership of that house, like if you put a guy addicted to meth in that house, who takes ownership of that house? Because they will not.
That's two separate problems.
You're going to have a crumbled shithole in weeks.
It's going to look like a public bathroom.
there's two separate problems.
But
So
I mean, look at Salt Lake Library. How's it faring? And that's a public building. And that thing is scary. I don't know anyone who'll take their kid to that place.
really?
Oh yeah, it's may as well be called the meth den. But let me lay
I
this
need to
out.
go to the Salt Lake Library
I
because
think you need to.
so it's like right next to me. I don't feel like the Salt Lake Library is the quote unquote scariest part of Salt Lake.
Well, but no, it's not the scariest. But should any government building be as scary as it is?
I don't think I've seen anybody
But
on
let
meth
me
in
lay it
Salt
out like
Lake.
this. I don't think it's a good idea to have an economy where one of the staples of life becomes an avenue for wealth generation.
Like what?
I mean,
What does that mean?
What I mean is not that if you buy and sell it, you can't get wealthy and you can't get comfortable, but withholding housing or withholding food, because withholding it generates wealth. Because a lot of things, when you withhold it, when you make it scarce, and the staples of life is air, water, housing,
Right.
food.
Right.
Right? The four things you need to.
It's near
to keep
impossible to
firing.
focus on anything else if you don't have that covered.
Yes, but when housing is made to that, the act of withholding it becomes a wealth generating machine, which is what it has become.
It is.
Imagine if food was the same way. Imagine if
Is it not?
withholding food.
Look at how expensive food is.
Withholding
but
food?
withholding it doesn't make
different.
it more expensive. I would argue that.
We haven't done it yet.
Yeah,
I
but-
think that's the biggest thing. It hasn't been done yet. It doesn't mean it won't happen.
Don't give them ideas,
Sure,
Jared.
but yeah, that's true. Sons of bitches.
Yeah.
But withholding food hasn't become a wealth selling it, producing it cheaper or corruptly has become. Like putting. I'm feeding you right now. Putting corn sugar in everything.
I hate that.
But yes,
I hate that.
That has become a wealth generating machine. But withholding
because
so
of the
far,
subsidies, because we didn't allow.
subsidies.
Because of
also,
It's a huge-
not just that, but you've
communism.
got to go back.
It's not. We
No,
can't. We can't label everything
Corn
as
syrup is because
communism.
of communism.
No, corn syrup is also because FDR said we're going to fiddle around and make
Communism.
our farm economy a national priority.
Okay, so it can't.
So we're going to control
It's
the
not
farm.
communism because communism is
It's-
when it's controlled by
You ready
the
to hear it,
people,
Dave?
not the government.
You ready to hear it? It's fascism,
It.
Dave. It's fascism. It's when the government.
I don't know if it's fascism either.
when the government and corporations work together for the better.
No. But that's not fascism.
That's
not
that's
fascism.
definition fascism
No,
coming
it's
right out of
cronyism.
Mussolini.
It's cronyism.
Okay, I'll take
it's
that.
cronyism.
Okay, sure, but it's by Mussolini, the guy who invented the whole thing. That's
I don't
what
think
he said
he
fascism was.
we've had protectionist cronyism like
Well,
that
he
for
invented
years.
He invented fascism,
It's
but
I
that's
just don't like
according
that
to him.
word.
That's his words.
Communism sounds better.
It's where the government and corporations work together for the betterment.
I
benefit of the
think
people.
so. A couple of things. I think that fascism has evolved, just like I think communism
No, I think
has
the
evolved in
understanding
socialism.
of it has evolved. I think that in colleges they started calling everything over here fascism. So Wikipedia about 8 years ago changed the definition, and then down below that they have traditional fascism.
So that to me sounds like evolution.
Oh, sure, whatever,
So I would say it has evolved.
whatever.
So I'm alarmed, just so that people are aware. I'm alarmed by both sides of this.
Oh, yeah.
Because I am not a fan of authoritarianism. I like real viable solutions, and that's why I say I don't care where the solutions come from. If it's a viable solution, we all have a piece of the puzzle. The question is how much pressure, or that's not the word, how much emphasis do we put on that piece? Sometimes it's just a little bit, sometimes it's a lot, but we all have a solution here, and that's why we have to set aside I know that nobody's going to listen to this, but we have to set aside our political parties and our labels and everything, and only focus on policy and only focus on solutions. We have the if it's a math problem at this point. We can solve a math problem. So why don't we?
It's not hard for me. I'm not a member of a political party, so.
Yeah, you aren't. I mean, you don't have to be. You can be an independent.
That was super easy.
So here's the thing, okay? We have, I think it's like 500,000 elected offices in the United States when you look at it. And over 90% of those go uncontested. If your government is not delivering policy to you that solves this economic math problem that we're experiencing and like says, oh, okay, we need to fix this to go back here and starts to unwind everything.
How do you convince the 50-year-old who's voting in the traditional way because it serves the life that he's earned up until that point for a way that will disrupt that life he's learned for up to that point?
What I'm understanding when I talk to people, and this is people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they're saying they cannot afford to live anymore. They feel like they are forgotten, like they are left behind. Like we know, millennials, right? And this is the way that things work, right? First you have the lowest among us that goes through the pain first. And then it just keeps hitting the next level and the next level and the next level. So that's why you had the millennials doing it. Now you have Gen X saying it. And you're getting to the boomers because the boomers had the wealth and they say they're feeling left behind. So if you can pinpoint that and you can say you are feeling left behind, this doesn't work anymore. And you have to be brave. It takes bravery to leave the parties as they are and vote for policy. And it's scary because we hear all this stuff about like, oh, there's critical race theory and the trans and, the LGBT and communists and it's noise. It doesn't matter.
In my opinion, we are one healthy natural disaster away from revolution.
I think that we're at that point.
If we have a drought, we are standing where the French were right before the revolution.
Yes, where they turned on the
economically,
masters.
And all they had to have, they had a drought. A drought.
I didn't know that. It was a drought that caused
a drought is what caused everyone to become very familiar with building that piece of French doctor invented equipment.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I always learn something new each time I come.
Well, we could experience Mormon crickets that eat all our crops. We could experience earthquakes. We have so many natural disasters.
That's actually what the economists say. They do say that we're one disaster away. They don't say revolution specifically, but they do say absolute chaos, which I guess is revolutionary. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even when the guy who kicks off the revolution lays on the piece of bedding that he used for the revolution. That's chaos. But no, we are one natural disaster away. China keeps touching it. And I know no one thinks China's collapsing, but except for everyone who studies it.
I think we're all touching it. Anybody that has poverty in their nation is touching it.
Well, not just that, but our demographics. And demographics compound any issue. The reason it compounds it, think of retirement when... Okay, here's why China's not going to reproduce. Why they're not going to go to Ukraine and get a woman and bring it back. You want to know why?
Explain that one to me.
Wait.
All right.
This is such a weird thing. Okay, let's go.
How many people can you support on your income?
On my income?
Yeah.
Well,
this sounds like a really personal question
here. As long as credit cards
you don't
are
have to
willing
answer
to
this,
keep
Dave.
coming in the mail.
You don't have to answer this.
How many people would you be comfortable supporting on your income? Right now, how many people would you be willing to let, and I'm not doing a hypothetical.
Say zero.
No, I want an honest answer. How many people?
I think two would be my limit.
Now, what do you do when the demographics flip upside down to where you're supporting 3 retirees? Are you having a kid?
No, you euthanize them.
Oh my God.
That's where we're heading. And not just that.
So a couple of things. No, we are there because millennials are not having kids. Gen Z is not having kids.
Did I not tell you everywhere's in demographic collapse? But I want to pose another part of that to you.
Yeah, the old people, they'll get euthanized.
When it goes upside down, and it doesn't matter. You can even do that. But
isn't that horrible, January? But in biology, that's the truth.
Fine. And you know what? It's not a cure. And I'm going to tell you why right now.
Okay, let's hope that you say something redeeming.
No. As people retire, as people get old and retire, how much economic drivers get pulled out of your economy. It's not a money and economic mobility doesn't just poof out of air. It's made by things and people making things. Mm-hmm. And as people retire, that's less things getting made, right? It's people. It is.
Well, okay, so sorry, I was being disagreeable. So finish up, and then
it is. So
give input.
Not only do you pull economic drivers of a community, a nation, a state, or whatever out of the world nowadays, you pull economic drivers, you pull knowledge out, you pull out people who know how to do things. Right now, try finding a millwright that can work on big 500,000 pound presses. Those guys don't exist. They don't exist. You pay a guy that is semi-familiar with it, and they still run all over the nation, but no one's trained to become a millwright in them anymore. You pay a guy a king's ransom to come work on your shit like that. But anyways, so you pull that driver out, and then you take the guy working, right? And he's in this upside down triangle market where he's supporting already retirees. He's not going to have any more kids, which compounds it more, which means it escalates until there's fires and guillotines.
Yes, and to a couple of things. One, what you said, that is one path that you can go. You can go through
and it
euthanization.
Still doesn't even fix it.
It's not a path. It's not a path. If you have no food to eat.
It's an option. It's an option.
Old people will have no food to eat
We
in that
have
world.
plenty of food.
Nobody to bring them the meals on wheels. Nobody to take care of them and bring them to their doctor's appointments. We are going to have to abandon a lot of people in that kind of a scenario.
I don't think that we do. So here's why. There's a couple of different layers to this, okay? So in the world that we had before, yeah, absolutely. Because you require bodies, you require humans, you require people in order to accomplish these tasks that used to be like covered by like their families and their kids and the community and that kind of thing. But we are on the cusp of the next, phase of human existence.
The next evolution.
So it is the next evolution. And so first of all, we have, so once you solve the base, just affordable living, right? The next level of it is exactly what we're getting into. So first of all, people aren't needed anymore, right? They say we're needed. They say that they need population, these elites and stuff. They don't need us anymore. We have machines, we have technology, we have AI that's about to accelerate. The world in 5-10 years is going to look so bizarrely different from the one that we live in. We will not have to work 40-hour weeks. There's no reason, even today, even in our society today, we have to work 40-hour weeks. So like with my stuff, I target my employees getting paid full-time wages for part-time hours. Like that is our goal right now, because there's no reason to have anything more. Like live your life, live your families, be free. So when we talk about these old people, like they will have technology solutions to care for them. And because they will be able to be mass produced, it's going to be so inexpensive to create that and to have that. So that's your first level.
But then again, those same people that run the world think there are too many of us.
Yeah, yes, and they are trying to eliminate. There's some videos. I think that we should play one of them.
They did a good job, actually.
Did you guys see the Australian dude, the Australian billionaire?
They want us to eat bugs and be happy.
So look up the Australian billionaire saying, what did he say?
If they eat too much of their toast.
Ungrateful employees or something. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's saying, how can they expect to buy a house if they just eat crushed avocado on toast? That one was nothing. I think... No. Go back to it. So the Australian billionaire, people should see this. This is outrageous, because this is what's happening. They're not even hiding it anymore. And when I say, like, we know this just based off of data and math. They're saying be grateful to us for paying for this. So first of all, we'll have technology. We won't have to work as hard. We have plenty of food to go around. We have the smarts and the intelligence to... Huh?
We have a black screen.
Do we? Are we crashing over here?
live.
But so as we go through this, though, like that, it's crazy to me. So we don't need to fight over these basic resources. We waste like trillions of pounds of food each year. We have the smarts to eliminate food waste. We have the technology. We have the knowledge. And if your politicians can't do that, like, get rid of them. So, for example, and I'll leave you with two things that I want to hit before. Yeah, this guy. Watch his.
Yeah, I've watched
watch
it.
the interview.
I've watched it. Yeah.
Is it where he said, "Yeah"?
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40%.
Advocating.
I just want to say
We
something.
need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around.
He said tradies get paid a lot for not doing too much. What does this five-head do?
He does nothing. He inherited his wealth.
This cocksucker looks like he should be testing nooses somewhere. Sounds like it, at least.
Do you have?
Excuse me, guys.
I want to have you play one more thing. I don't know if it'll play this whole video for you, but if it does, we should do that because it talks about exactly your response there, which is.
I'm telling you, this is how revolutions are made. Keep playing. That guy, he may as well have said, let them eat cake. He may as well have just said, let them eat cake. Because when it pops off, that bastard is going to be drug out of his house in his robe and his stocking feet.
Okay. All right, Jared, here you go. So I sent this to your messages.
Okay.
No, I want to bring up a local issue while we're waiting on this.
Yeah.
So, illegal immigration.
Uh-oh, TikTok.
Illegal immigration is, they're trying to pass new legislation in Texas now where the state.
Oh, hold on.
We're just working out here.
How do I pause? There we go.
Where the state can arrest illegal immigrants and put them in jail. Now, my thought process is we need to build a lot of jails.
Jail is not the solution for anything. It's not the solution. Like, there are people that clearly should not, be inside that should be being rehabilitated. But this, like, industrial prison complex is just disgusting. And at the end of the day, we're all humans. People forget this. So, like, when we look at Hispanics, Mexicans, they're Americans. We not in the sense that we think of Americans, but we are all Americans. The Canadians are Americans.
I've got a different idea on immigration. One,
okay,
we need to expand our work visa. Our work visas should be
perfect.
Honestly, I think it should cost the price of the paper we printed on. Yep. I want to make a work visa where we have kiosks in every. We'll start
dismantle bureaucracy. That's what you're saying.
Cosmopolitan area, all down through Mexico, Guatemala, Dominican Republic, Venezuela. Hell, I would have kiosks there where they come up and they say, I know how to do this.
That sounds efficient.
Indeed. And bink, these are the jobs where people are looking for you guys. They're looking for you. And then they have a sponsor over here. So the government's not involved in that initial negotiation. The guy's like, hi, my name is Javier. As Javier, I know how to do this. Oh, well, hi, our company would love to have that. We need a truck driver, a lube tech, a whatever. And we're not finding one. And Javier says, okay. And then that company and Javier can figure out safe transportation. Let's cut the cartels off at the knees. That company and Javier can figure out his housing situation. He can already have an into the community, and he can say, look, I'll come up there and work for 5 years. I'll come up there and work for 5 months. I'll come up there and work for whatever. All right, the company says, all right, we've got your tax ID here. we expect you here on January 1st. This is your tax ID. Here's your paperwork. Step up to the border.
Perfect.
He crosses the border. He flies here. He does whatever. And then, bam, he lands. He goes and fills a void at the company. One, it's done honestly, so he's going to be paid more honestly than an illegal immigrant coming over to be paid. Two, the company is filling a void that they need. And it's done and done.
Dude, I agree 1,000%.
That's not the flavor of ice cream they're offering you. What they're saying is,
it's not
here's
what
the
they're-
legislation they're offering. You
Oh, no.
get the ice cream flavor you get, Jared.
Apparently,
Just
you
listen to
haven't watched the
flavor
news this
options.
last week.
Your
Jared, you only
option
get one
is-
flavor.
Your option is legislation comes in and it says, we arrest all the illegals in our state at a state level. Who gets the bill for that?
Nationalism
Guess.
does not help. That is the stupidest. Sorry. Here we go.
And
You're
then
getting me all fired up.
You
It's
offer
enough.
someone a citizenship if they want to go that route. But other than that, let them work.
That's not the flavor of ice cream they're putting
So-
on your cone, though.
No, you
So
know why
what-
it's not?
Because it's a solution?
No, you know why? You know why abortion and immigration and gun rights is always left without a solution? Can anyone guess why?
Because it makes
Re-election
money.
season.
That's where the money comes from.
It does,
That's
because
where
it's
you
a
hit the
polarizing
base.
issue, and that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't do it. So, a couple of things here. Yes to everything you just said. The Salt Lake City Chamber of Commerce, they actually sent out a questionnaire to talk about how can we increase legal immigration. So, a lot of what you said was implemented into this with some
Just-
technology
just
pieces,
step
machine
back.
learning, blockchain, AI.
Just step back 50 years. That's how you increase legal immigration.
Right. Dismantle the bureaucracy. So, if you want to
Find
read.
Cesar Chavez's great 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 grandson and have him be the poster child for it. I don't care.
I don't know enough about this gentleman to say whether or not that is the solution, but I will say that if you want to read kind of like what you've proposed with a little bit more detail,
Don't have me design any of your ideas.
well,
Trust
you
me.
can go onto my website. So down at the bottom, I have like in the news, and it's the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce, that questionnaire in the illegal immigrant section. I know it's a long thing. It's a book. They didn't publish the whole thing. I understand because I get kind of lengthy, but I felt very strongly about sharing thorough solutions if people were going to read them. So this is if you go down here, you go to a little bit more down in the news, we have St. George. Keep going over. Oh, wrong one. That's fine. One more, I think. Yeah. So click on that. And then I posted it all in here so you can scroll down to the immigration section. Immigration reform, real-time, public, transparent labor demand system. That's what you're describing here. Up to
We don't even have to build one. They exist. We've got
They
Indeed.
exist.
We've got LinkedIn.
so
And
you
I
use,
promise you, Indeed and LinkedIn is south of the border already.
So you don't
it
want to build more
probably-
prisons?
No.
We can use taxpayer dollars to do that.
We could, but I want to use taxpayer. I mean, that's another way, I guess, if you're trying to solve housing. That's a bad joke. I don't like that at all.
Hey, we can turn our prisons into big motels. Pull the iron doors off, and you know
there
what?
shouldn't be any iron. Like, it just makes me
you
mad.
pull them off. You get rid of the iron doors. We can turn those into something else. Swords
I hate the
for
prison
the
system.
oncoming war.
I just
But-
hate it.
No, I agree.
So tying this into the beginning of our conversation, and then I think that we should look at that video, right? And then I still haven't said my controversial thing. Maybe I
Yeah.
just say it now. Actually, no. Let's
do
do
this
this,
and then
and then we'll
controversial.
say it. So, identity credentials. Remember how you said people are kind of worried about this, but it's where you own your information. You own your identity. The government doesn't own it. Nobody else does. The companies, the corporations, you actually took back probably the most valuable piece of information on you and you made it yours. So with this, you can essentially have these identity credentials around the world with people, and then you can match like, oh, this person's a doctor. This person has this kind of labor. This person has this certification, or this person worked at this job. Each of those is an identity credential that can flow up into this
Simple.
real-time labor demand system. And then you have your machine learning stuff and you say, hey, we're seeing that within this economy, we're experiencing these problems. You know, your stuff is kind of coming to an end. Would you like to come over? And this is technology. Sorry, the old people cannot seem to wrap their little tiny dying brains. And I say this because, you know, we lost Dianne Feinstein. We have Mitch McConnell running things. We have, you know, 70% of our Congress is elderly people.
octogenarians.
It's
Not elderly. Elderly is gentle.
I'm elderly.
They
compared to-
are.
You're not elder. You're like in your 40s.
It's getting there, man.
They are prehistoric.
They're old.
They're
and they,
old.
they lived in a different world.
You know what? No one in Congress should have been alive on D-Day. I'm just going to say that.
It's really sad at this
It's
point.
sad.
So we have solutions here. So here's the controversial thing that I want to say.
Feinstein was damn near mute from dying, living in a wheelchair, and her daughter's voting for her, and everyone
What is
else.
that called? What do we call that? What is it really?
Fraud.
No, it's more than that. What's the next level of that?
Corruption.
More? What is it?
I don't know. Give me the word you're looking
It's
for.
elder abuse. It's straight up elder abuse.
But it's national abuse through elder abuse.
yeah, and it is. And
Like
so
her
this is-
daughter, a person that those people didn't elect, is making the decisions for them.
when you are controlling people
Yep.
at that level, when you are forcing them to work, she worked until her dying day in her 80s. My God, terrible. Okay, that is elder abuse. When we look at the people in our government, this is my issue with Burgess Owens. Burgess Owens is an abused elder. He is not calling the shots. He is on script. Same with most of these other people. Biden, guaranteed. Trump, he still kind of has his brain with him, but in some ways, I think he's losing it because he doesn't live in the world that we do, because he's part of this, elite economy up here. He's not part of the real economy with the rest of us. So here, my controversial statement is this around housing. There is absolutely zero reason for your mortgage, for your rent, for anything that you should be paying more than $1,000. Even if you're paying more today.
I wouldn't even say more than 1,000.
No,
I would say
it's like
more than 15% of your income.
it shouldn't even be 15%. $300, maybe. $500
Well, I
for your
mean-
mortgage, maybe. If you live in a freaking mansion, okay, maybe you're starting to hit $1,000, maybe. But there's no reason for it.
The reason I say that is there is no medium wage person who can find a house that meets 15%.
I don't think it should even be 15. I think 3% is more reasonable.
Sure, 3%'s fine,
If
but
that.
I think 15 is the traditional mathematical equation, isn't it?
It's actually 30% of your income, and they're bumping it up
Okay.
to 40% and 50%.
Well, I'm
Most people are
talking
paying
about the
more than
natural.
50%.
Even when you built your own house, you would put X amount of time into building your house or X amount of your efforts.
Yeah, there's no reason. You should not
No,
be
I
paying
agree.
more than a couple $100 for a place to live. And pardon me. Pardon me, that's so gross.
You're fine.
So when you look at that, stand up, revolt. That is the revolution. Take back the basics of your life. There's no reason anymore. There's no reason.
I agree.
And that would eliminate homelessness. If you're paying because people are trying to pay $1,700, they can't afford $1,700. They can't. They would pay like $1,200 for a place to live, and they can't afford it. And so that brings us to this video. I don't know if we're sharing the screen.
On to the video. I will share the screen.
And I don't know if we can play the entire video here.
I'm not exactly sure how TikTok works.
It's over on the left side.
Where is it?
Go left all the way.
Go all the way over to
and
here?
then go right just a smidge. There it is. You did it.
Look at me go. Oh, yeah, you sent it on Facebook. Okay.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning, definitely.
Hey, yo, politicians, guess what I gotta do for $18 an hour? We're just working out here in the mud, pulling parts. Before you go and say that I could get a better job, $18 an hour in my community is actually pretty good. Meanwhile, my family has to go and get a food box every single Friday so that we can eat. But don't worry, my wife's income helps out too. Her whole whopping $13 an hour for being a teacher's assistant. Before you say I'm complaining, there's actually millions of people out here that are feeling the exact same thing that I'm feeling. So I'm just relating to everybody. Maybe we need a politician that cares a little bit more about the little guy instead of the middle class guy. Because honestly, I'm sick and tired of deciding whether I should pay my car insurance this month, fix my truck, or feed my family. Meanwhile, the hardest decision you had to make this morning was what color of tie you should put on your $5,000 suit. And for everybody deciding whether or not to agree with my video because you think I'm Republican or Democrat, just remember, it doesn't matter. We're all in this together. I'm feeling it just the same way you are. And the only way it's going to change is if we change it ourselves. I remember when this country used to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now, it's the land of the fee and the home of the slave. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of being broke. So if you're listening out there, politicians, do something right for a change and start caring about us. And when I say us, I mean the little guys that are below the little guys.
Yeah, more drip drip to the bottom, please.
Like a huge funnel, like flip them on their backs, like we're done. So just in case you didn't catch that, so $18 an hour, right? So at $18 an hour, that's about $37,000 a year. At his wife's salary, which is about $13 an hour, we're assuming they're doing 40 hours a week here. That's 27. So in total, you're at about 65,000 max, absolutely max. So if we go through,
Which would have probably been good 10 years ago.
Well, maybe he works under the table, though. I mean, that's not bad under the table.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. So it's really hard to find a place these days that's less than $2,000. Did you know 1 in 5 homes in Utah, of all places, is more than $1 million? It's listed at more than $1 million.
Well, the average house in Utah is 250. That's the average.
No, I would
that's
say more
the
than that.
bottom. I should say that's the bottom. You're not going to find one for 100,000, which is another thing with regulation. I'm going to bring this up with you. I brought it up with both the mayors out here and everyone running for city council.
Yeah.
Just to cut ground on building a new house costs $20,000. Just to cut ground.
Isn't that the stupidest thing?
Yes. And they
Like, you have a plot of land.
They say they've got to hook up to water and everything. That's the price. Okay, I get it. You are not going to find a developer who is going to build a $110,000 house when $20,000 is shaved off before it even hits the bank for loan.
Perfect.
And no bank is going to give a loan for that amount when there is a 8 to 12% loss immediately, which is why every house is a multi-bedroom, multi-bathroom house. When a brand new married couple would be fine with the 2-bedroom, 1-bath as a starter home. They build up, they learn to run their credit, they get building, and then they move into the next one when they get pregnant, and move and establish themselves.
Right.
But
So what's the
no starter
question
homes
that you
left.
asked?
Okay, you're laying all this out. Here's my conspiracy. All of these, in my mind, I can track back to government problems that they caused. The government put in laws. The government enabled banks that caused all these problems every time.
No, the government allowed the banks to operate separately.
Oh no, the
from
government signed them in. The government made the Federal Reserve.
So,
December
you're right.
21st, 1913, the government sold
So you
us.
have unelected people running the entire world, being the power
Because
brokers,
elected people.
because they didn't know what to do,
Signed
because
it.
they panicked.
No, do you know what? Do you know what day it was done on? I just mentioned it.
You were talking about, I'm thinking about a later one. I'm thinking about the one that's been in my lifetime.
Okay, I'm talking the one that overarches all of them.
Okay. Which,
December 21st. You
when they broke off the...
when they did the Federal Reserve Act.
Yeah. No. So I agree. That is a
You know
problem.
why they did it on December 21st?
Because of Christmas?
Because most everyone was home.
Yeah.
That's the best time to pass legislation is when everyone's celebrating
no one's
Christmas.
there.
Yes, absolutely. So let's go to one thing. Let's tie off this conversation.
Yes.
So that family.
We still need your conspiracy theory.
So from me?
You said you had a big conspiracy thing, a big controversial
No,
thing.
I said my
You missed
controversial
it.
thing.
Oh, what was it?
Which is that you should not be paying more than a couple $100 for housing, even if
I
you
thought
pay
you were gonna lay
thousands of
something
dollars.
heavy on
Hey,
me.
look,
No,
we'll work
people
with-
disagree with that. People say no, you should have to pay for housing. When I say you shouldn't be paying more than $300 for that apartment, their minds get blown. They're like, no, you have to pay. It's like, who are you paying? This
Well,
is your stuff.
One avenue to get it down to that is to allow a liberalization into lot sizes, into house sizes, into the way housing is run. Allow houses to be built and not hooked up to the system.
I hesitate on that. So here's the thing, that with that video that they were talking about, I calculated out 37% of their income goes to housing. 37%. and they're making decent at $18 an hour. There's people here that don't even make that. 15, 16 is hard to get. We still have people in the United States making like $7 an hour, and people are like, well, you're not, you're a useless function of society. It's like, no, we see that we rely on those things. Like especially if you are contributing to society, especially, you should be able to afford a place to live. So when we talk about, you mentioned the permits, the permitting process and the breaking ground and everything like that, 1,000%, we cover that in the solutions that I handed over to the Chamber of Commerce's, both of them, between St. George and Salt Lake.
Pushback on that?
Pushback on what?
On the regulation keeping housing down?
No, I don't think that it necessarily even needs to be regulation.
I do have, on permitting, can I give you pushback on that?
For breaking ground?
Yeah.
So for the stuff that I just agreed with you on.
For all the stuff. I'm giving pushback on
wait, I just agreed with you and you're giving me pushback for agreeing with you?
Yes. Because this will be a pushback that you'll encounter.
How amazing is he?
Oh, you're telling me.
Every single time.
You can guess what the pushback is, can't you?
What's your pushback?
I can't put up a GP medium?
No.
Oh, okay.
Water.
Oh my God, that's like a completely other thing here. So I support
Let's
what you're
that
saying.
for
Am I
another
frozen,
show,
by the
Jared.
way? I think I might be frozen.
No, you're
not
good.
anymore. Okay, so with this, water is a thing, okay? But our control over the water is the biggest problem.
Where's our water
and
go?
In addition, so this is just one, so this is your next level of civilization, okay? There's no reason that any American, any person in the world really should not have access to clean water.
I agree.
We can build a national water infrastructure. We have the tools, we have the technology, make it so that everybody has clean water. If that means desalination, that means that. If it means going across property lines, it means going across property lines. If people are going to be selfish and be like, oh, I don't like that water is going across my property, like shut up and sit down. There's more world out there than just you, and people deserve clean water. And if we're going to build cities the way that we have, then we need to address this and address it quickly. Like
I would argue
it's done.
That Los Angeles is in a crisis, which is sucking water from us because someone said we have the technology to bring water down here and build this city in the middle of a desert.
So you're talking about that massive lake that used to be in California, right? Where
No.
they took the lake.
They did that
because the Colorado River filled the lake, and then they eliminated the
water goes there right now.
No, I totally agree.
Like we
with
can't
you.
peel water off.
It's because we have water rights messed up. So
Yeah,
that's a problem. But
I
you
agree.
have a ginormous ocean. What do you say to the ocean?
Water. Okay. Have you seen what desalination plants look like?
Oh, they're not pretty. We don't like them.
Do you know what they do to the ocean around them?
They're right. There is a cost here, but
That's when we need to lean on Elon Musk and have him shoot rockets full of salt into space.
Tell Elon Musk that he can go
shoot rockets full of salt into space.
I can't even say.
You should see how much salt my wife puts in
Why
rice.
are we saying Elon Musk should do this?
Look at a desalination plant.
Yeah.
There's one
It'd
in
keep her happy.
There's one in Saudi Arabia or in
I can't.
in the Middle East. It's running.
Why can't we just put it in the salt flats?
If
It
your
has
solution
killed the ocean right outside. It's killed it.
Yeah, just put it in the salt flats.
Okay,
We're
but
fine.
let's talk about this for a second. Any solution that involves Elon Musk, I do not want to hear it. Because
Really?
Elon Musk is the most useless person on the planet. He takes
Really?
he takes ideas from people like me. Here's the thing. I know this for a fact because I've built products for companies that have grossed over $100 million. And guess how much of that I got? I didn't get $1 million. They sure took the rest of it. And guess what? They enjoyed it. They enjoyed the fruits of that labor here. So Elon Musk, he just has people around him, smart people that come up with ideas, and then he's like, "Oh yeah."
So he's like what Steve Jobs did, and that's
right.
So
Actually, I
don't have a problem with
think
that, though.
Steve Jobs is more. I do, because here's the thing: you can be surrounded by smart people. I support that.
Well, I
Let's
mean, look at-
disseminate
see?
ideas amongst the population. Yeah,
That's
I know.
what I'm
He's
doing.
so good
I
at
get
it,
surrounded
isn't he?
That's
by
why we're
smart
going
people.
nowhere, Jared.
But
I'm your smart
when
guy.
Damn it.
they take that money,
Selected poorly.
like how do I explain this?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
When you cannot have
The reason I said Elon Musk is because he's got rockets.
No.
And that salt has to go somewhere.
Elon Musk can go disappear from the face of the planet.
Until we invent artillery that can shoot out of the stratosphere.
Why do we have to shoot it out of the stratosphere? Why don't we just put the people that understand water in charge of the water? What was that?
No, I'm talking about
missing out on millions of
desalination.
dollars right here.
I
you
don't
can milk
want it.
right from my mind.
I'm talking about desalination.
Yeah,
Desalination.
and you're
We
not
haven't
listening to me.
perfected how to make it work
It's not
yet.
perfected,
Here's
but
the
we
idea
can
right here,
perfect it.
There's a big salt flat right on our way to Wendover. You build a train, you put the
Okay.
salt right there, and I guarantee you it won't interfere with the other salt.
Just pour it off. Millions of years of salt.
So I think that there's ecosystems within the ocean, right? There's some things that we need to be acknowledged there, the point is yes, it needs to be perfected. Yes, it needs to be discussed. Yes, it needs to have like great minds addressing the problem. But saying, oh, we shouldn't build housing because of water, especially in Utah, when people are like, stop building housing because there's no water. The water is going to the farming for alfalfa that goes over to China or wherever or Afghanistan, I think. And then
it's going to China.
Multiple places that aren't the U.S. because
China can't feed itself. It will be able to soon, though.
we waste trillions of pounds of food each year. We can feed a planet.
I think what we need to do is we need to move into the pod and eat the bugs and grovel our lives so that Taylor Swift can take the most private jet flights in 1 year again.
Okay, so yes, T Swift has a lot of money, okay, but she's a really sassy woman, and I like her sass, so please don't target
that she
her.
I'll take
preaches.
Elon over Taylor
I love
Swift.
that she
Really?
Oh,
I
God,
love
yeah.
that she preaches to us
He's a good-looking guy.
about their. I love that she preaches to us about the green energy.
And takes her pride. So,
She flew more than anyone else in the world last year.
oh wait.
I believe it.
Have you heard of like boy math, girl math, Mormon math, billionaire math, politician
that?
math? Okay,
Is it
hold
about
on.
looks?
No, it's even better. You're gonna love this.
So
So I came up with a few myself. Maybe these will be good.
We do have to close up the show, January. I'm being
Oh,
summoned.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's being yelled at by his wife,
Okay,
which means I'm being yelled at by his wife. But she forgives me quicker.
so billionaire
You
math.
get away with it.
So it's kind of like an ironic level of thinking. It's like a humorous way to spotlight irony, right? So real estate math or billionaire math is owning multiple mansions or properties around the world, many of which remain vacant for most of the year while the housing crisis persists in many cities.
Yes.
That's billionaire math. You had one where it's like preaching about saving the planet while flying your jet around the world, right? That's another one. Investing heavily in PR campaigns to portray a positive public image while facing criticism for business practices or treatment of workers. Like, I mean, it just goes on. Like, we could do an entire thing around this, but
Right. The equation of harvesting. If you're a honeybee farmer, you want to only take enough honey that the honeybees will buzz around you for a little while and get annoyed, but they'll go back to work afterwards.
Right.
And we are the honeybees.
yeah, exactly. So,
At least the honeybees get housing.
at least the honeybees get housing. I think that that's a quote of the day. That needs to be a video in itself. I think that was so amazing. You should do TikTok clips of these things. So with that, because I know you guys want to close and I want to let you go, couple of things. So one is, I don't care who you are. I don't care what your political beliefs are. I do not care anymore. Run for office on the sole commitment of solving affordable living. If you get everybody at every level of government to agree to just handle this for one election round, within 2 years, it'll be solved. We won't be feeling the inflation anymore. We won't be feeling the housing crisis anymore. We won't be questioning, will we be able to take care of our society or anything else? It'll be solved within 2 years. So run. Don't let any of those races go uncontested. It doesn't matter where you're at. Like, run. Like, actually do it.
Challenge McKay.
Oh, please.
So, and then if you want to read more of these policies, you can go to utahpolitician.com.
Yes, go check out our website, guys.
It's a good website.
The January is honestly, hands down, one of my favorite human beings. One of my favorite
really?
politicians, hands down.
Thank you. That's so kind.
You really are, because you're very candid. You're very open. You're willing to come in and talk. Nothing's off limits. You'll go to bat and argue with us and let me drag you down these side roads. And that shows good character. But yeah, check out January. She's, utahpolitician.com or januaryforutah.com. And if you go to all the things, you're probably on TikTok too.
Yep, just Utah Politician is my handle.
So if you go to TikTok, Instagram, Twitter,
X.
What
else do we have? We
There's
have
one
we
Facebook.
have Mastodon. We also have
Mastodon.
I'm not on that one.
Who's that new one? We have Threads.
There's a new one.
So there's Threads, right? So
I
that's
stay away from
Instagram.
that
I'm a
one. I
damn
heard
old
that's a
man.
sticky situation.
Even on True Social, even though I don't post on there.
She's on Truth.
I just took it.
She's on Trump Social.
Oh, don't say it like that. Stop that.
Anyways, no, she's on there. You can go find her. You can go find out her message. Follow her. Look at when she's doing a walkthrough. You still walking with the robot?
My robot is under the weather.
You wore his ass out, is what you did.
Yeah, it's
He
broken at the
doesn't
moment.
genetically
I need to
replace
fix
himself
it.
or
I need to
herself.
fix
I don't
it.
He needs an
know.
oil bath.
February. The robot's name is February
gotta be a
because it
girl.
follows January.
Yeah.
It could be. It's genderless. It's a
February
robot.
is a girl's name.
Is it?
No,
January
hands
is a
down.
boy's name in Germany. So, anyways, let's
January
close it up. Thank
is
you.
also a girl's name. If it's a boy's name in Germany, come on, those guys ain't got man.
All right.
Anyways, what I'm saying is, follow her, check her out. You may not agree with her message, but it's compelling. You got to if you want to pass on to your progeny, you need to think about things like this. We can't continue on this path. And I said it last podcast, and I'll say it this one. I am for getting rid of incumbents. I'm all for it. I'm for getting rid of parties, all except for the 2 Republicans that run our county, because they're great. But if they start messing up, I'll get rid of them. But our 2 guys, we are the luckiest county in the United States of America.
I think that's wonderful.
I promise
That's
you
really
that.
beautiful.
And I'll tell you about it on the way out to the car. But give her a look. Drift outside and quit running the same dog shit back to DC we keep running.
And to our local governments. Keep in
And to
mind,
our
and
local
I'll leave you with
governments,
this. We have 104 state legislatures, state senators, so 75 and 29, right? So 104. And out of those, like 8 of them put anything up for housing and inflation, like 8. And of that was actually like useful and helped the people was maybe 3. I hate to say this, but either hold them accountable or get rid of them. If you cannot manage your politicians, get ones that will serve you, because that's it. At the end of the day, it's their policy, and that's the only thing that matters.
And homelessness is exploding nationwide.
Homelessness, poverty, being able to pay your
Yep.
bills. Thank you.
It's on the rise.
Ladies,
All right.
that is a wrap.
Yeah. So
And gentlemen, and whatever else people identify as.
we'll be back next week.
Push like. Smash that like button.
Smash the
subscribe.
like button. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep us
all this
motivated.
stuff.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me on again.
Yeah. And you're welcome back anytime you know it.